morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm the Toastmaster of the day. Today, we have two very experienced speakers. The first speaker is George. George will be doing Advanced Communication Manual number 2, Storytelling. And George's title is The Road Not Taken. The objective of this speech is to learn the elements of a good story and to create and tell an original story based on a personal experience. The time allowed is 8 minutes, so it will be green at 6 minutes, orange at 7, and red at 8. So please welcome George to give this first speech.
Two roads diverge in the yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. This was the last stanza of the famous poem which I learned in high school, entitled The Road Not Taken by American poet Robert Frost. According to my English teacher, this poem is about making choices and how one decision can make all the difference to one's life, whether for better or for worse. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I'm sure some of you have a moment in life where something happened that led to a decision that changed the course of your life. Sometimes it's a simple choice to marry, to move house or to stay put, to marry for love or for money. Other times it could be something quite traumatic, a breakup in relationship, a loss of job, or worse, a tragedy in the family. Whatever it is, there'll be a moment in your life when you look back and say, nothing would remotely be the same had it not been for X or for Y. This morning I'd like to share with you a story, a personal story, of an incident that happened many years ago, which changed the course of my life. It was the morning after my graduation at the University of the Philippines in Manila. I was still recovering from the hangover due to the wild celebration at my dormitory the previous night, when I heard a knock at my door. So when I opened it, I was surprised that it was my younger brother Manuel. He was in tears. So I asked him, Manuel, what's wrong? He said, we are in trouble. Father is bankrupt, and we're going to lose everything. These words shocked the hell out of me. You see, my father was a successful businessman in my hometown in southern Philippines. He had successfully built up a business over 15 years from scratch with limited capital. As my brother recounted it, my father trusted a few of his employees who were relatives. He thought, being relatives, they were reliable and would not betray him. But he was dead wrong, and they robbed him blind. They stole cash from the till, falsified accounting records, and secretly withdraw goods from our warehouse to be sold to competitors. It took a few years before my father realized it, but by then it was too late. He faced the wrath of his creditors, whom he could not repay, and who, when times were good, were his biggest supporters and friends. But now he's down. They were friends no more. They even threatened to send him to jail. To me, it was like beating a dead horse. As my brother narrated the story, I was also in tears. There I was, 21 years old, new graduate with no job and no work experience. I was terrified. What can I do? What will happen to my family, to my brothers and sisters who are still young? Who will look after them? My brother and I talked for the whole day, and at the end, I assured him that we were going to overcome this problem. He was going to go back to my hometown in the southern Philippines, and together with my other siblings, help my father rebuild the business. While in my case, being a university graduate, I looked for a job in Manila, and hopefully, with my salary, I can send some money home. The shock of my father's business failure left an indelible mark in my mind and changed my life forever. I decided then that I would never allow myself to be placed in the same position as my father. I would never be poor, I promise. So, from the time I got my first job, I worked so hard, sometimes working Saturdays and Sundays without pay, just to impress my employers with my performance. And by the time I was 26 years old, I was appointed the recruitment manager of San Miguel Corporation, the largest company in the Philippines. Subsequently, I was headhunted by a multinational and offered a management position in Hong Kong as human resources manager. With my high earnings, I was able to support my family and finance the education of some of my brothers and sisters. My obsession for success, which is largely fueled by my fear of being poor, defined my life for many years. But it also had some bad consequences. It led me to become restless, insecure, and discontented. I was never satisfied with my achievements. I thought they were not enough, and I was vulnerable. In other words, I was paranoid. Luckily, this all came to a stop when I married my wonderful wife, Teresa, who helped me change my perspective of life. These days, I don't carry that burden anymore. I'm a much happier and relaxed person. Sometimes, a bad incident causes a bad turn in one's life. But in my case, it was a terrible incident that caused a good turn in my life. Bad things happen, but I also realized that despite all the hardship my family went through, this terrible incident also opened up a whole new world for myself and my siblings. And without it, I would not be the person that I am today. Two roads diverged in the Yellow Wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
A very moving story. Our next